Hi everyone, this is Heather with P is for Paper. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm super excited to be part of the Save the Crafty Youtuber Hub. I want to thank Justine and the sponsors for all their hard work. I want to remind you to leave comments along the way. You'll be entered to win prizes, and please note if you are a US or an international viewer, comments are due by June the 5th. Also, while you're on the hop, be sure to share some love and give some likes to the videos and consider subscribing to the channels. Today I've got a card tutorial for you. I'm going to be making this fun Wobble toad card, a little toad sitting on a toadstool, and I'm going to be using a brand new stamp set from Hello Bluebird. This is Garden Friends. It's an adorable set, and I thought this card would be kind of a fun masculine card for Father's Day. So for my cardstock base is a green textured cardstock. I wanted a top fold, so I've cut this to 11 by 4 1/4 and just scored and folded it in half. I have another extra sheet of the same green for the grass. I have a piece of white Bristol smooth cardstock, and this is cut to 5 by 3 3/4. I have a piece of yellow textured cardstock that's cut to 5 1/4 by 4. I have just a scrap of black and about a quarter sheet of 110-pound weight cardstock for my stamping and coloring. So for my circle background, I've taken a sheet of Masking Magic masking paper and a 3-inch wide circle die and have cut a circle out of the center. I'm going to peel this off the backing. And now I'm going to center this circle in the middle of my Bristol smooth cardstock, and I want to smooth it down really well. And with some Broken China Distress Oxide ink and a blending brush, I'm going to go ahead and fill that circle in with ink. So in light swirling motions, I've just filled my circle in with the Distress Oxide ink. And now I want to add some water drops. So I've got my water sprayer here, but I wanted some bigger drops. So I'm just going to be using the tip of the tube that's in my water bottle and just flick some drops on. And I'm just going to take a paper towel and just pat that dry. So I'm going to carefully remove my mask. I'm going to take the same Distress Oxide ink and just a clear stamping block, and I'm just going to tap that on, transfer some of the ink onto my block. I've got a wet paper towel, and I'm just going to apply that onto the ink. And I'm just going to take my paintbrush and tap that all over my card to add some nice splatters. So here's the Distress Oxide finished. I'm going to set this aside. So with Memento black ink on my 110-pound weight cardstock, I've stamped out the toad, the toadstool, the butterfly, and the little snail. And I'm actually going to use my butterfly more as a moth because I want this to be kind of more of a nighttime scene. So now I'm going to color in my images using some alcohol-based markers. These are Stampin' Blends from Stampin' Up. And I'm using a yellow marker for the eyes and the belly, and this is a light Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to kind of make sort of a teardrop shape in the center for his little yellow belly. Now with light Old Olive, I'm going to fill in the rest of my frog, avoiding those places that I colored yellow, and just fill the whole rest of the frog in with this light green. So next I'm going to take the dark Old Olive and just add in some areas for some shading and shadowing. And now that I've added the dark green, I'm going to go in with the lighter green and just blend those two together, again avoiding that yellow. And with my greens blended together, I wanted to blend this yellow out. I wanted to lighten it up and kind of pull it out into the belly a little bit more. So I'm taking a clear blender pen, and this is from Spectrum Noir, and I'm just going to lighten up that yellow and just kind of pull it in with the green so it blends a little bit better. Now moving on to my toadstool, I'm going to be taking light crumb cake and coloring in under the mushroom top and the stem of the mushroom. I wanted to keep the mushroom and my little snail and my little moth in kind of muted colors instead of really bright, because I was going for that kind of nighttime scene look. And now with dark crumb cake, I'm going to add my shading and shadowing kind of under the lip of my mushroom and kind of follow those stamped lines. And then I wanted to add a little bit more texture, so I'm just going to lightly make just some little streak marks with this darker marker down the stem of my mushroom. I'm going to go back to the lighter color and blend these in together. And then one more time with the darker marker, just to give some more dimension to that texture. Now using the same light crumb cake, I'm going to color in the body of my moth and the body of my little snail. Now with a light pink pirouette marker, I'm coloring in the wings of my moth, the shell of my snail, and the top of my toadstool. And I didn't worry too much about the spots because I'm going to be using a white gel pen, and that will just fill those right in. So now I'm going in with smoky slate gray, and I'm going to add my shading and shadowing to my mushroom and my butterfly wings, or sorry, my moth wings, and to the shell of my little snail. I'm going to go back in with the pink and just kind of blend those two in together just a little bit more. And now that I'm done with all my marker coloring, I'm going to go in with a Uniball Signo white pen and just add a couple of little details to the snail shell. I'm going to fill in the dots on my moth, the dots on top of my toadstool. And then I wanted to add some nice spots and textures to my little toad. So I'm just going to add lots of fun little dots all around him. So now I'm ready to die cut my images. I'm using the coordinating dies. I'm just going to take a little bit of repositionable tape and tape them all in place. I'm also going back to the same circle that I cut my mask with. This is a 3-inch across stitched shape circle die from Stampin' Up. I'm going to die cut that as well. I've die cut my images and my circle, and now I'm taking a grass border die from Honeybee, and I'm going to line that up across the bottom of my circle and run that through my die cut machine. So now my grass is the same shape as my circle in the background. Next, I've got a scrap of black cardstock, and I'm just going to run my powder tool over the top. So now using some clear Versamark ink, I'm going to take my words and stamp them on the bottom of my cardstock. I'm going to pour over some Ultra Detail White Embossing Powder, tap off the excess, and I'm going to use my heat tool to heat my embossing powder. So I've trimmed my sentiment off in my paper trimmer. I'm just going to use some tape runner. I'm going to apply it to the lower left-hand corner of my panel. And next I've applied foam tape to the back of my grass. I'm just going to line that up with the circle that I inked. I've got my little moth that I'm going to place up in the upper left-hand corner with some foam tape, and my cute little snail down in the right-hand corner. And next, with regular tape, I'm going to tape my little toadstool in place, and I'm just going to slip it under the grass. And next, just using a Le Pen permanent marker, I just wanted to add some little flutter lines to my little moth going off the side of my card. Now I'm going to apply some tape to the back of this panel and adhere it to the yellow. And now I'm going to adhere this to my cardstock base. And now I want to show you how to make your own wobble. I'm taking a 1/2-inch hole punch and just a scrap of white cardstock, and I'm punching a circle. I'm taking some craft wire and a pencil, and I'm going to be wrapping the wire around my pencil a few times, about 4, and I want to make sure that I leave some tails hanging loose. I'm going to take my wire cutters and cut the wire away and slip it off the pencil. I'm going to trim off just a little bit of the wire. And now I have this nice little coil. I'm going to take some regular Scotch tape, and on the back of my frog, I'm going to tape down one of those tails of wire. Sorry, this might be a little hard to see on camera. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the circle with the other end of the wire. And now you can just kind of fidget with it and get everything lined up in place. Now on the circle on the back of my little wobble mechanism, I have added a large glue dot, and I'm just going to position my frog where I would like him to be and just kind of press down. And now I've got that fun wobble action. The last detail that I wanted to add to my card, I'm just using some Stickles glitter glue. And I wanted to apply a fun little snail trail behind my snail. So I'm just going to carefully make a little bit of a squiggly line along the bottom of my card. So here's our finished card with the fun wobble mechanism. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. At the top of the description box down below, I'll have a link to the next video in the hop, as well as a link to Justine's main blog post for the Save the Crafty Youtuber hop. Don't forget along the way to leave comments to be entered to win prizes, give some thumbs up, and consider subscribing to channels. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a totally awesome day. This is Heather. Bye.